I did not know what a side chick was. I watched this, I was like, hold up.
I don't want to hear about you're falling for me or you're falling in love with me. Maybe in love. No, not even then. Just tell me when you're there. Don't tell me when you're on your way. Tell me when you're there.
Back and keep your booty clean. Just let you know.
There you go.
Welcome to episode 15 of No Caller ID. This is our first time revealing our faces, ladies. So funny, so funny. And for those who are listening, head on over to our YouTube channel if you want to hear and see us for the first time. So it's No Caller ID, so that means you can't check us, boo.
Yes.
Atta. So how's everyone doing today?
I am doing great. However, I have a genuine fear of thunder and lightning, and it's actually like a real thing. I googled it last night. It's actually a diagnosed disease.
I don't like the way you said that, because it means I can't make fun of you anymore, because you warned me by saying it's a real thing.
It's a real thing. I think it starts with an A, but I can't remember. And they were like, oh, it's curable.
Like a phobia.
So you can get like medication for it or go through like hypnosis and all that. But like the paranoia that I have right now, just looking out the window, just waiting for a lightning to like strike
you down.
Strike me down.
Now you
the computer down.
You good.
But apart from that, I'm good.
Oh gosh, I'm doing good. I feel very patriotic lately, only because of the Euros. I don't know why, because I've not even watched it. I haven't watched a single match.
I watched my first match.
But the vibes.
Night.
Did you?
The vibes.
Yeah, I just feel like everyone comes together at this one time every 4 years, whatever it is. And I just love it.
This reminds me of, do you remember that year when it was Love Island and World Cup? And it was summer and the vibes were just right?
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, it's kind of like...
No, it is.
Good.
I love it.
The weather's not right, but...
No. Let's just... I'm just blanking that out. I've been singing It's Coming Home. I don't know what's going on.
I'm what's coming home?
I know. I actually, you know what? Sorry, I'm about to take us off track. But I actually thought to myself, does every country have It's Coming Home as their slogan? Or is it just us?
I feel like
it's relevant to everyone, isn't it?
But it just sounds very British.
It does sound British, but
it sounds very British.
Anyway, sorry. So,
I'm not sure about it.
I don't know.
So if we're all doing good and our weeks are doing good, let's hop on over to make sure that the timeline has been treating us well. Ebony?
Right, so this week there's been a little bit going on. So if you haven't heard, I think it's pronounced Sha'carri. So Sha'carri recently won a medal. I cannot remember. I maybe should research.
Sports knowledge is so top tier. Wow.
I don't know if it was. I think so from what I can gather, she's a sprinter. And she's very, very young. She recently lost her mother. I think her grandma was out supporting her. And she's recently emerged in terms of what from what I've heard as a really a real shining star, like in terms of the the sports scene. However, there was news that she recently wasn't able to compete in Tokyo, I think it is, because she failed a drug test, basically. So she smoked marijuana, from what I can tell. And I think people's reactions to this was what was quite interesting to me, because people were saying, if it's not crack,
let her
keep her on the track.
Well, at the end of the day, I think someone said that marijuana is obviously not going to speed you up, is it? So, what's the harm here?
Just slow you down.
Yeah. What do you guys think about? What's your opinion on this?
I just feel like it's very it's such a shame. Like when I saw it, I was like, why? Because I get it, because apparently, where she smoked the marijuana, it was legal in that state and all this other stuff. However, if you're a part of this organization, this is your job, this is what you do. Yeah. And she even said it like she knew. No, it's not permitted. Babe, why would you do, you are on the rise, you were supposed to go Tokyo and compete with the best of the best.
Yeah.
Was it worth it for a spliff? That's my opinion. I'm just like, girl.
Yeah.
I just wish she hadn't done it. Because this was supposed to be your moment.
It's such a shame.
And now it's that's why it's just a shame. Why?
Yeah. It is what it is.
She's definitely taken full accountability for it.
Yeah.
I mean, until next time.
She'll learn.
I mean, Joe Biden, he seems to be in favor of her response. I think he's openly come out and said, well, rules are rules, but at the same time, I really I like her response to the situation.
Yeah.
So that's really good. I also add that maybe they should start looking at what drugs are classed as drugs now, because we're looking at how marijuana is no longer being seen as this illegal thing. It's starting to move more into recreational and sometimes actually medical. So if that's the case, maybe they need to start also looking at on their list of drugs, what's drugs, what's allowed and what's not. Because I wonder, is paracetamol, if she had paracetamol the day before, would that be, would she not qualify? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just asking the questions, like what drugs are okay.
A lot of people were saying that, like, oh, you know, weed is not even like that big of a deal anymore. But I'm just like, I don't know. Every day, weed. Like, you can let the weed go. You don't have to have it allowed in every aspect of your life. Like, and also, we're not talking about a regional event or a country. This is the world. Weed is not legalized around the world. Just because it is in your state doesn't mean, it's just a little. Like, every country has to abide by all these rules as well, so it has to be a blanket for everybody.
I definitely agree. There has to be, like, a universal rule, and anything that is going to affect your body, whether it's a depressant or a stimulant, I think it should just be a no, flat out. Or if not, if it's, as you said, like, for a medical reason or something else, like, there's exemptions that could apply, but even if it's, like, heavy caffeine, it's, like, chill, you know? So, I don't know. As I said, it's a shame.
They know what they're doing, but I really do hope at least they keep up to date with the times, because that's when it'll get tricky.
The one thing that made me go like, because basically the news broke through the Jamaican Gleaner.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why did it have to come from Jamaican Gleaner? Because there was already this whole, talk of like, oh, who's going to win? Is it going to be Shelley-Ann Fraser or Sha'carri or whatever? There was already like this whole rivalry, and I was like, guys, like, please, let's not do this. Like, let's be all together. So then when it came through, everyone was like, it would be the Jamaicans. And I was like, no.
It doesn't help.
Why did we have to break it? It didn't help. It didn't help. But yeah, anyway. But, we'll see her in 4 years' time.
Yeah, definitely.
There's other races.
In the Olympic round, there's also something else. So recently, I think this swimming cap that was designed by a black business was banned by whoever runs the Olympics because apparently it doesn't fit like the standard shape of a head or something. And it's never been needed before or something like that. And people are kicking off because does it exclude, like, I feel like it would exclude a whole category of people who probably haven't really been able to shine before, because we know hair slows you down. So there's also that, but is that discrimination or?
I do think that it was definitely not necessary. That's what I'll say. I don't think
the cap or the ban.
The ban. I think the ban was extremely unnecessary, because what's the ban going to do? What's the head cap going to do? Is that cap going to slow you down? So that's what I mean. Like, your reasoning and all this, it doesn't make no darn sense. It's a cap if people want to wear it. What makes it different from the other caps? What? Because it has extra material? What's so wrong with that? You'll make up 600 different excuses for why a cap is not allowed. It does not make any sense to me.
I think with certain things like Olympics, which is obviously the highest level, they're going to be so pedantic in terms of all the specifications. Like, your 100%. Swimsuit must be this, thickness in this material. So I think it's just like they're very rigid. And because I guess there's a certain norm in terms of most people fit into this size cap or this whatever, there just needs to be a little bit more flexibility, I think, to make sure that other people aren't disadvantaged, basically. So,
well, that you said earlier, you were like, oh, they said it was never needed before. That's such a stupid argument.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because it was never needed before. Yeah, times changed, and a lot of things weren't needed before. So that's a very stupid argument, I think. But yeah, I don't know the particulars on the why exactly this particular cap. Because if it's just like, say, for example, they use the wrong material, then they could rejig that.
That's a simple fix.
Yeah.
It's a simple fix. So I don't know the specifics on why they say, nah, can't do this. But if it's something that can be fixed, then great. But if it's something that's like specifically to fit an Afro hair type.
Well, that's the understanding that I have, is it's made particularly for people with extra flexibility or whatever the reasons why. So I'm assuming
a size thing.
Yeah, and that's why I said earlier that I think it's more about the amount of material.
Yeah, like I don't understand how that could be a problem. Like,
if anything, that would slow you down. Like,
well, that's what
you've got more.
If a girl decides tomorrow that she just had her 24-inch weave done, and she wants to go and do her swimming with it, that was her choice to be slowed down if she wanted to. Do you know what I mean?
But even outside of that, natural hair, my natural hair that grows out of my scalp
could be that too.
It could be thick,
and
long. What am I supposed to do with that? It can't fit in this tiny cap. It fits in this one. What's the issue?
And let's forget all of that, When you lot were smaller, when you were wearing your swimming caps, was anyone else here complaining about the tightness? Because I was. Maybe I just got a big head. Who knows? But
I just... it never stayed on. I jump in the pool, swim cap over there, and I'm over here.
It just wasn't fitting.
It's never stayed
so
on.
Perhaps my head... What was it? What was the reasoning? The head types, the head cap, the skulls is not normal.
Yeah, the circumference of my head is a little bit larger than average, so I've got
so
to
would I not qualify for the Olympics on the basis of my head size?
I'm owning it.
I feel like I've got a small head, so I should be fine.
Wow.
Oh, whatever, mate.
I do. My wigs never fit.
Just with my big head over here, right?
My wigs are always very big, so I was like, that's such a small head.
Now, to me, it's just screaming that they need to probably go look at their rules again.
Because, it's like a lot of these things are like they're never made with us.
Well, it wasn't
in mind. So a lot of the things, like a lot of these things were just never made with us in mind. So now they're looking at it as like, oh, you're trying to change, but no, we're just trying to be included. So
that's why I think it has nothing to do with head size, and hence why I went for the hair. Because we are all born with different size heads. There's no like one particular head size per nation. So that's stupid. That's not the case. It's hair. It's hair.
Olympics.
They better not, because I already said that I want to get married at the Olympics, or at least be proposed to at the Olympics. So they're starting to tick me off. This wedding venue situation is going to have to be rejigged. Let's not get into it.
This is a nice conversation.
Let's not.
You get mad on the track?
I wouldn't mind if it was allowed. Ooh, stop it.
That'd be like the most ethic way to do it.
Do you know what I mean? I'm actually like my nation, like one, and then they just be like, hold up.
Hold up. Do you know who you'd have to be for that to be allowed?
I was about to say I'll end up in prison because I would have to do it illegally. They're not going to allow a little old me to do it.
You need a gang of people to help you out with that, sis.
Wow.
Well,
in other news, so I'm sure you've all heard by now, Bill Cosby has been released from jail. I don't know what they call it. He's been released. He's a free man. Does anyone know why? Does anyone understand there's a technicality. There's some sort of technicality
I'm not laughing.
That meant that he was allowed to go. I don't know any more than that. I'm just going to be completely honest.
I actually really don't know a lot about this case, if I'm honest. I've been keeping up to date mainly through social media. But from I don't want to misinform anyone. So please, whoever's listening to me, don't take me as the place.
Your own research.
I am not the source. But from what I do understand is it's lack of substantial evidence in order for this to for him to be
I thought it was okay. I thought it was something about the prosecution change. Okay, I'm not even gonna give information.
Okay, so this says
good.
Bill Cosby has been ordered to be released from prison immediately after a Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled he did not receive a fair trial.
Oh.
So in my mind, that would mean, is he allowed to be retrialed? because we might go through this whole thing again.
Yeah.
If it's
I don't know how it
basically
works
saying
over
that
there.
He didn't receive a fair trial, but that's what it is.
I don't know how the court system works over there.
Yeah,
I know you can be retrialed, but it depends on there's a lot of things. Yeah.
But long story short, about this situation.
Yeah, because
so the thing is, people are saying, okay, as I said, I don't know anything about this, I'll be honest. People are saying that he had previously admitted to drugging women, or girls. I don't know, I can't remember.
Ooh.
But he previously admitted to drugging people, which is illegal, period. And then I think now he's denied it. It's a mess, is all I'm saying. It is a mess. I don't know what's happening. But maybe I should do a little bit of reading.
I would read up on it, but I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like it's so like long ago. There's so much information to digest, like to like start from the beginning. But yeah, so he got released, and then a lot of people had their opinions afterwards. And also, being that he's been released on the basis that he didn't receive a free trial, I'm not saying that he's now deemed not guilty, just that he didn't receive a fair trial. To me, that's still very ambiguous, or that's still up in the air. Like we still don't really know
what that means.
And that's just a technicality. So with that, personally, like as if I was a celebrity, I would kind of hold my tongue on giving yay Bill's out of jail vibes. But what's her name? Phylicia? Rashad, who was on Cosby show as well, his wife.
Yeah. She played his wife.
Yeah. She basically came out in support and was like, woohoo! Bill's out of jail, like, yay.
Yeah, she put a tweet in support of his release.
And then she received loads of backlash because of that. Because obviously it's a very sensitive topic. You're talking about sexual assault.
And there were 40, something like 40
a whole
defendants.
gang.
There were 40 people who had stepped forward
whole lot
to accuse him, so.
Yeah, I think somewhere in her statement she mentioned how old he was, and I was like, what the heck has that got to do with anything?
Yeah.
Just because he's old, regardless, like if you did it, you need to face
the consequences.
The consequences of that, regardless of how old you are and how feeble you may be and how bad the conditions are, you need to face it.
Yeah.
If it don't catch you at 30,
because you've lived your whole life,
that's your problem.
So, I don't know. It's a bit tricky with these big celebrities. Honestly, I don't follow, like with R. Kelly, with Bill Cosby. I don't follow any of the trials or anything. Plus, I didn't watch Bill Cosby show, so to me, he's not really someone I know anything about, if I'm being honest. So,
I did watch. Puts a documentary out.
I did watch some, but this was just beyond me. Like at the time, clearly I was doing something else to keep up to date with that. But in terms of this case, I'm waiting for the documentary.
That's what I said. I'm waiting for Netflix to put it out so I can really see what happened because I wasn't on top of it.
Yeah.
And I think Phylicia, I want to call her Felicity, and I don't know why. Fhylicia. Kind of Phylicia. Is that maybe that's right? Whoever, her, however you pronounce it.
I don't know if I said it right.
Apologies.
I'm just trying myself.
I think she's kind of eating her words a little bit because
it was a bit too quick.
Yeah.
Unless she knows something that we all don't. Because at the end of the day, the way I see it is there's a lot of court of public opinion, right? So I try to put that to the side because we will all have our opinions, and I really, whatever, it's just entertainment value for me, just reading them. But nobody was there. But the people on set and the people who were part of the production and that sort of thing, people who were there, that I hold with a bit more weight because you do carry more weight. You were there. So it's either you're going to talk about things in a truthful manner or you're not. So we can say whatever we want. We weren't there. Yeah. So when she said what she said, I was like, I haven't got an opinion on that just much because what I got from that is you're telling me this man is innocent. Bill, basically, will testify to his innocence if he feels he's innocent. So let's put him to the side because we don't know. But other people like her, I'm looking at you a little bit more like, okay, so you're trying to tell me this man is innocent. All the people who came out and said, well, I'm the victim of what happened, are telling me, no, he's not innocent. So that's all I got to say on that.
The thing about that as well, though, I feel like I agree with what you said, like, because obviously these people are closer to you, have a better understanding of what was actually happening, because you were like there. However, just because somebody is one way with you does not mean that they are this way with everyone else.
And that's the truth.
Also for her, I still feel like you should have just mom's the word, because you could have been this person's mom, you could have been this person's sister, like living with them, and you don't know what they're actually doing when you're not around. So therefore, it kind of makes it seem like, say for instance, if he is guilty, and now you've come out and saying all these things to these women, you're like saying, like, screw whatever you said, like, this didn't happen to you. But you don't know that, regardless of how close you were to him. You actually don't know.
Again, I will rest it on their relationship. Because at the end of the day, if it was my mom, I'm not in support of any of this. I'm just saying, if it was my mom and I went to her behind doors and said, you know, did you really and truly cut down that tree outside that is on our neighbour's lawn? Did you cut down our neighbour's tree? And she went, no, I didn't. And they were blaming her of that. What do you think I'm going to do? In the face of every... Thank you. I'm going to stick up. And it doesn't matter. You can tell me all day and night. 24/7, I'm not with her, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to take her word because I'm assuming that she's going to tell me the truth. So I'm not saying anything in regards to, I agree with what she said. I agree that she was way too quick. Probably should have kept her mouth shut. But I'm just going to be the observer that I am, which is just to watch and not have too much of an opinion on it, because quite frankly, I wasn't there, and I'm hoping that justice is truly served. Like, that's all I can hope for, is justice is truly served.
I feel like as well, when they do, this is why I feel like she should have just never said anything, because now you've come out and said, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, why do you always do, jump
she
so
shouldn't
quickly,
have.
and then a day later, apology statement? You could have sat on it. You could have sat on it and thought about it first.
It's obvious she didn't think, did she? Because
just went out. It's like, oh gosh.
If you're going to stand by your word, stand by your word. Like,
yeah. If you were that brazen to say it that quickly and with your chest.
Not courses the next day. Courses.
You're doing sexual, whatever. Trying to keep your job. Like, girl.
PR.
Anyway.
PR.
Now moving on.
That's that topic.
I think question of the week.
And on to question of the week. I forgot this was me. So as we were this is actually coming off the timeline, but it raised a question. So when we were looking on the timeline, we saw that there was a comment actually by ZZ Mills, commenting on the latest video of Iggy Azalea. Is it Azalea or Azalea?
I've always heard Azalea.
Azalea.
Okay. So she's done the latest video and she appears racially ambiguous, and that's actually the comment that ZZ Mills raises, you know. That's the words that she used. So I guess the question is more around racial ambiguity. Is this the new normal? Because it did raise some eyes for me. Like, I genuinely, when I saw the picture, did not know that was Izzy. Like, I had no idea.
Same.
Yeah.
And people change their hair all the time, you know, like in music videos and stuff. That's what you do, you know. You obviously change your look, your clothes, your this, your that, your makeup. But I didn't know it was her.
I had no idea.
It was a whole different skin tone. Like,
but where is Iggy?
It wasn't lighting. Let's not blame that one on lighting.
I agree. Because obviously we're used to seeing the blonde, the bright. But even with the blonde hair, I mean... But I'm just going based on what I see on Instagram, because I don't watch her music or anything. But I think there's definitely a shade. I don't. I always say this. I don't listen to them. I don't listen to anybody.
I'm just out here, me, myself, and I.
I was going to say, yeah. I was going to say that I think generally on Instagram I've seen a trend towards a certain look. I don't know if it's like a Middle Eastern vibe or a Indian vibe, or I don't know what the goal is, but there is definitely a trend whereby you could see someone, you actually don't know their ethnic origins. Whereas previously you would have been like, oh, they definitely look X or they definitely look Y. It's like, oh, you look different, like, in terms of where you're from, where your ancestors like changing.
See, this is my thing. Sorry, Scott, can I finish? Sorry.
No, I think in the sentence you ended.
No, because when you said that, I was like, okay, this is my thing. Like, this is why I'm confused about this whole racial ambiguity thing. Like, is it that people are doing things on purpose to make people say question mark, what are you? Or
that was my quick answer.
Okay, so that was my question.
I don't think so.
Is the problem that that if I look at you, I don't know what you are? Or is the problem that someone's doing something to make themselves ambiguous? Personally, if I look at you and I don't know who you are, like what race you are, I don't care.
I think it's a matter of the words, racial ambiguity. Like, I have no idea where this terminology has come from. So I would love to understand where it came from to then understand where the emphasis lied, you know? But from what I take from it is I'm talking about it from the standpoint of people actively changing themselves in order to become racially ambiguous, as opposed to, I look at you, I don't know what you are, that's on me, like, that's none of my darn business. You ask questions, you know, you get to know people. That's not the problem. So yeah, but if you're trying to be ambiguous racially, I don't know. Is it now treading on the toes of appropriation? And, you know, just, is it starting to take a whole nother form in itself? Because what I'm trying to get at is, okay, what if someone tried to become racially ambiguous, right? Let's just do that. What if they were? And we know it and they said yes. What's the problem? What problem do we have with that? Is what I'm trying to say.
There's definitely a subset of people, like a very small minority of people, I think, who are doing it actively. And I think those people who are doing it actively, I don't know, the question that I would have is why? Because I don't understand. I would say,
I mean, I have my answer. My answer for me is it's more on the, it's not so much if you become racially ambiguous, okay, whatever, like you actively said, yes, I am trying to be racially ambiguous. However, I think it comes down to the issue in my mind point is about equality in general in regards to race, because then when we get into a place where we're being racially ambiguous, but then decide to identify as a different race due to your racial ambiguity, then we're starting to look at other things such as, okay, and if there was a situation where there was jobs and they were targeting or trying to, as they call it, positively discriminate, and it was targeted at an underrepresented group, and that underrepresented group is this particular race. My racial ambiguousness, I've classified as myself as that when my traditional race is not from that underrepresented group. And now I've taken that opportunity. So that's what I mean by, if it goes down the line, that's only when I would start to have a problem with it. At this moment, in terms of face value, I don't care.
Yeah.
Look how you look. But at this moment, it's not treading on my toes.
No.
Look how you look.
I definitely don't think people are going that far. I think it's just from like a beauty perspective.
They have. So we've seen already where there was a case, I can't remember who it is. I'm talking in specifics to something that actually happened. Someone decided to identify as a different race.
That's to do with like transracial, right? Because I think if you're identifying as another race,
then it's not ambiguous.
Yeah, I think.
This is just confusing in general then. Because race to me is almost two things at once. Because we're not talking about ethnicity, we're talking about race. And ethnicity is to do with, obviously, your descendant line or kind of like the nation, you know, the nation descendant line. Race, however, it is tied also to your melanin scale. It is. So, for instance, if you're black, you assume that you have a certain melanin skin tone. Of course, there are lighter skinned black people and so on and so forth. There's everything to everything. But what I'm trying to get at is with racial ambiguity as well, then you could identify something else if you decided to form into something else, I guess, to some extent, because it is also to do a little bit with your color. I'm thinking more on the basis of what race was created for. Race was created as a divider on people based on their color, as well as their ethnicity. That's why it's so confusing, because race isn't just this thing. It was a social, it was made for a purpose, and it was also based on skin. That was the original intent. So yes, it does matter when you then become racially ambiguous, because you can classify yourself as a different race. You can, because that was the social construct. And then if you have economic opportunities on the basis of race as well, that's when it gets sticky in my mind.
It's really complex.
It is a complicated topic, but that's I'm only thinking about it in that regard, because to me, face value wise, it doesn't matter, because I've had it my whole life. If you want to talk about racial ambiguity, I don't actually try to be something else. I'm just face value wise, people ask me different things. They ask me different questions. Are you mixed? Are you black? Are you this? Are you that? And that's fine. You can ask me whatever you want. I'm not trying to be anything. I'm being myself. But face value, you can't tell me. You can't tell directly if I'm mixed race or not. That's cool. That's whatever. But it's a different scenario in my mind when you then try to do something else with it. I don't know. If I try to change myself today with makeup to be something else.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree that there is a line in terms of taking opportunities from others, or like if you don't want to if you want to get through life a little bit easier, maybe you would kind of go along with, okay, so for example, there are people who are white passing, so they're multiracial, for example, as an example. And they've got some African history or ethnicity or something, I don't know. But they're white passing, and maybe they're able to kind of use that to their advantage. But some people actually, I don't know how to articulate what I'm trying to say. But basically, I know there are going to be people who play up to that. So for example, on social media, they might tan their skin or whatever the case might be. But in real life, when it's talking about, your livelihood, opportunities and things like that, then of course it would benefit them to play up to like whiteness, I guess. So in that sense, of course that is wrong, but I really don't think people actively do that.
Well, let's talk about that in particular. If I'm using your example, if in real life it makes sense, which races did you use, by the way? Because I don't know which races you use, so that I can make a real life example.
Let's say someone's biracial, and say that one parent is from Nigeria and their other parent is from Scotland. So let's say they're half black, half white. Or one parent's black, one parent's white. So that person's biracial, right? Okay. But they're white passing. So they look, face value, they just look white. So that's the example, I guess.
Okay. So if they were basically mixed with black and white and they were white passing, right? Yeah. But online, they decided to become racially ambiguous in terms of they may use makeup or whatever it is, or lighting, whatever it is, in order to darken their skin tone while they're online, right? Cool. And then when they are on your day-to-day offline, not on social media, you're just your white passing self, right? Is that what you're basically saying?
Yeah, I realize my example doesn't make sense, because they arguably are racially ambiguous, period. Because racial ambiguity is subjective. So
this is what I'm getting confused at, because if you're actively making yourself ambiguous on the basis of your race, then that to me then crosses over into lines of fishing and not necessarily being racially ambiguous. Because in my mind, that I don't know the definition of the term or where it came from, but when I hear that, I feel like that's more of a problem, or not even a problem, but that more it lands on the person looking at you to say, I don't know what you are, rather than
the emphasis on that person trying to be something else.
Exactly. If it's coming from me trying to make myself look something else, then that is fishing. Not
I think
myself ambiguous. I feel like because I feel like racially ambiguous, I don't necessarily feel like that's a bad thing. And I feel like having the two, the ambiguousness next to the fishing, I don't really feel like it's fair. It's a fair comparison, because one, I don't feel like there's harm in, whereas the other one I do. Because as I said, I feel like if it's the ambiguous part of it, I feel like that's more lies in the eyes of the person looking at you. If you're trying to make yourself something, then that's fishing, and that's completely different.
So it comes down to
the things like what you said, Dee, those things then come into play. Like if you're now using that to help yourself on an economical level or social, then that's fishing. That could be, then goes into the lines of appropriation. It goes into the lines of all these other things. So it's not just, I'm just out here making myself look like, making people ask me, what are you? Because people can ask anyone, what are you? Because my skin's dark doesn't mean I'm black.
Yeah, exactly.
It just because I'm light skinned doesn't mean I'm white. So it could be anything that could happen to anybody, and anyone could ask the question. So I don't really necessarily feel like it's a bad thing. Only when it's done for the gain of, if it's social, economical, whatever, cultural, then that to me crosses over into fishing and appropriation.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what I was trying to get to, except that I didn't have the words to exemplify what I was on about, which is my issue is when you transform yourself into something for the sake of taking opportunities that perhaps if you didn't look that way,
you wouldn't have, because that opportunity was reliant on a look. You know, it's not on the basis of your qualifications. It was definitely to do with visual cues, as well as putting yourself, what's it called? You know, when you tick yourself, when you self-identify yourself as certain things. That was it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then that whole conversation now you get
that's fishing, right?
Yeah. And then past fishing, now we've got like
appropriation,
transracial, where I could look away.
Oh, that's when you identify,
and I can now identify as something else. But for me, it all goes down into this all umbrella of just big old question mark and confusion. Because I feel like in today's society,
I think it's a good question for another day. Maybe we should do a whole topic on it, because I think it's interesting in general. Just to talk about.
Because it's so confusing to me. That's why I feel like, okay, it's good to kind of talk, because I genuinely, I guess my mind is still kind of stuck in like a traditional sense of thinking, like when it comes to some of these things. And now there's so many different terminologies, so many different ways of being, so many different ways of identifying. Like, I am confused.
I prefer to look at history. Because, like I said, I like to look at the history of race and why we are here today in terms of today's current terminologies. Like, how did we get here? Because it helps me to make sense of things. Because otherwise, I could also get really confused. Like, I'm like, okay, but why this and why that? And how does that one work? And I prefer not to. I prefer to hear it, receive it. But I'm looking to the back, to the history, to understand what is race. Like, how did we get here? But anyway, should we move on to our next question? Is there any other lighter questions, perhaps, ladies? Do you have something? Maybe nothing? Is there? You guys got any holiday booked?
Listen, I will be booking. Wait, so many things just flooded into my head. I will be booking my ticket next month to go to Jamaica, but that's a different topic. But
fun.
You mentioned the other day Ibiza, Ebony, and today when I woke up and I was scrolling through Instagram, I'm like, everyone is either in Greece or Ibiza.
Ibiza is the new Dubai.
Is it? Is it because
I didn't even know we were even allowed to go there, but literally everyone.
Apparently they're both kind of okay on price. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it used to be, but right now maybe inflation. I'm not sure, but to be honest, from what I've seen, it actually looks pretty nice. But That's social media. Who knows what's real? What's fake?
Who knows what's behind the behind the glass, behind the curtains. But yeah, I've heard from a few people that it's a cool place to be outside of the whole like Brits on holiday vibe, but like there's another side of it.
Yeah,
it's very, very
and let's see that
nice.
side.
Yeah, I don't want to go to the Strip.
I've never been, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
it gives that kind of vibe. But yeah, anybody else plan on going anywhere? Going anywhere?
Not abroad.
No.
I think I might just have to wait till next year, if I'm honest. Like, realistically, to go on a nice long holiday and not worry about quarantining and taking this injection and this drug.
And maybe while you're out there having to rush to the airport. No.
Yeah. And I haven't even got my head around Brexit just yet, so like, I don't even know if I can.
We didn't even get time to digest that. We didn't actually even
still
get
don't
time
even
to
know, like. Yeah, I still don't even know what's going on.
Do I need a new passport? Like,
how do I? Actually, when I went to Amsterdam last year, I did kind of experience because we weren't allowed to join. I think we had to join, the long ass queue.
Yeah, the
EU queue or whatever.
Queue.
I was like,
what
ghetto.
is this?
What is this?
It was got kicked out.
What is this? The ghetto. Anyway, guys, let's move on.
What are we watching, Shan?
So.